How's it going, everyone? I am doing a new thing that I've never done before. Essentially, I am doing a edit to my face because I was bored and I decided to record it and do like a little speed time lapse. Currently, what I'm doing in here is using the Liquify tool. And if you didn't know, if you're not familiar with Photoshop, it automatically has some adjustments for like eyes, nose, mouth, and so on. So you can see that's what I was doing right there. Right now, I'm actually going through and selecting the original layer of the photo that I'm editing. And I'm using the lasso tool to select like my eyes, my nose, my ears, my mouth, my forehead, my chin. And I'm using Command J or Control J. I'm using actually Control J because I'm on a PC to make those into new layers. Now, right now, I am going over with the spot healing tool, and I'm actually using the clone stamp tool or the cloning feature of the spot healing because there's the two different ones to sample for my forehead because it's gonna have that skin texture. And then I'm going in and I'm painting out my eyes, my eyebrows, my nose, my mouth. That's so that way I have a nice clean, well, relatively clean. You can see it's kind of scary, kind of base for when I put my facial features back on. As you can see, I'm doing that right now. So I'm going through and I am adjusting the position of how I want to have everything. I kind of already had an idea in my head of having like small little beady eyes and my nose be nice and big and my mouth be relatively small. And you can see what I'm doing there is I'm actually using layer masks. So instead of going through and just erasing each layer, that's destructive to each layer. So then you would have to go and backspace or create a new layer. If you use like a feathered brush and a layer mask, you can actually paint out using black or white. So white means that the layer is revealed and black means it hides it. So it's sort of like erasing, but if you draw with black, you can see how it's kind of erasing the detail. And if you were to go back over with white, like you saw that I was just doing with my hair, it makes it so that it comes back and goes forward and all that kind of stuff. It uses a lot of memory. It slows down your computer if you have too many layers. But it's really nice because that way you always can go back and have that information there if you accidentally delete something or if instead of erasing and then not being able to go back. So yeah, non-destructive editing. It's a really good technique. So now I'm just kind of cleaning up around the hair, and I didn't want to go in and get too fine detail for that, so I just took my opacity of my brush layer and I just lowered it down really small so that way I could get that fine detail around the hair. And I do the same thing with like underneath my eyes and around my eyebrows just so that it blends in a little bit nicer. Now I'm using the transform tool and just grabbing the corners. If you hold control, or you can actually grab each corner and you can see it'll adjust that part individually, kind of, instead of just being a square uniform. It used to be that you'd have to hold shift in order to scale something in a uniform size. So if you wanted to make something bigger without getting it all warped, you had to hold shift. In the new Photoshop update, you actually just scale it and it automatically keeps it the same ratio. Right now I am trying to blend the collar of my shirt, but I realized it wasn't working out very well, so I actually decided to make a new layer. You can see that I'm kind of trying to get the neck lined up because I want that to be the same, but I want the edge of the shirt to blend in with the shirt itself. So I made a new layer, and you can see I just kind of finesse it back and forth. I guess altogether this is about a 10-minute time lapse of about an hour's worth of edits. So it's sped up pretty quick, but I didn't want to do something too long because I don't know, maybe it'd be boring, but at the same time, going a little fast. I'm kind of realizing it's hard to keep up and kind of explain everything. But 5 minutes into it, and I'm not going back. So this was just me going through and organizing my layers, getting everything kind of settled, because I'm going to start trying to change the color of my skin tone. So I believe what I did there is I took the group, so I took all the different layers that had the different shapes of my eyes, my nose, my mouth, my facial features, and I duplicated it, and then I merged them together to be one layer. This is where I was going through and I was trying a couple different ways of changing my skin tone. So what I ended up doing was picking a hue saturation layer, and then I used the eyedropper tool to select my skin and then adjust that, because instead of just using the slider, the default slider, sometimes it makes like different parts of your skin or different things change color in a weird way. So if you use like the eyedropper, and you'll see I'll use it later on to like desaturate my teeth. So what I do is I'll make like a layer mask around my mouth. Like I'll take the lasso tool and I'll make a lasso around my mouth, and then when you hit the hue saturation layer with the lasso selected, it will make a mask around that area specifically, and then when you adjust the slider, it'll only affect that area, which is nice. I try to do something where I change the color of my eyes using hue and saturation, but it didn't really work out. So you'll see here that I actually just end up drawing in green on my eye, and then I just fix it later. That's kind of some scary looks that you could do with blending modes. I don't think I end up going with a blending mode. I can't remember. Maybe I did, yeah. And then I just lowered it. So right here you can see I painted out my teeth, and then I realized my teeth are kind of yellow. And if you're wondering how I'm able to zoom in and keep such high resolution, it's because the picture was taken with my Sony a7R III. So it's a 42 megapixel camera, so it's pretty high res. And then yeah, so right here I colored in red or green. Yeah, there you go. And then I blur the layer a little bit, and then I changed the blending mode and then lowered the opacity, and then it gets a nice bright vibrant green color. And this is what I was just talking about with selecting and then using the hue saturation, using the eyedropper to select the yellow of the teeth and then just desaturate it. And that way it just desaturates the yellow, because you want to keep the reds of your skin and stuff in contact, or stay the same. Right here I was trying to clone stamp some detail because I noticed right above my eyebrows looked a little too smooth, but then I realized having the color layer on, it was sampling from that color and applying it to the layer, and I didn't want that, so I got rid of the color layer for a second and then did some clone stamping, and then you can see I put it back. And then right here I was trying to do some weird stuff that I've done before, where you draw shadows and highlights. It's not the same as like dodge and burn, but it just gives a little bit more texture to the face, but I definitely didn't do it the way I did before. It's it looks weird in this, but essentially what you do is you draw dark areas to be shadows, and those would be like like in the middle of your cheeks they're darker, above your eyebrows are darker, and your eyes are darker, and then you go and you draw white, and then it will make it look like highlights. So you can see it just kind of adds some depth to the face. It's not necessarily anything good. I don't think I needed to do it, and then I went through with these little details and it just looked really bad. So this is kind of just pointless at this point, but it just gives me enough time to kind of just say that I think I'm gonna start trying to do stuff like this, where I just record some of the goofy photoshops I do, because I know that I love watching like a lot of, like, I don't know if they're called speed drawings really, but like time lapses of people doing drawings and different artwork of 3D and stuff, and I do a lot of Photoshop. So this is right up my alley, because I Photoshop all the time. and I figure I might as well show it. So here is the before and then the after. Isn't that great? Anyways, that's it. That is the first of hopefully many videos to come. I know I always say that. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this, and you will see me in the next video.